Otherwise, feel free to ask questions in the chat. I will paste the YouTube link because that's where the recording will be and it'll be emailed to you. But also remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Okay, let me paste the YouTube link right now in the chat. So if you ever miss anything, you can go back to that link and catch up on the recording. Okay, let's see in the chat. Most people are calling in from Nigeria, India, Philippines, Somalia. Nice. Okay. I think Philippines, it's like nighttime. I'm not as familiar with that time zone, so I'm gonna guess like 1 a.m. India, I know it's 11:30. Thank you for being here so late. Nigeria, I think it's 5 or 6 p.m. It's probably 6 p.m. Indonesia, I don't know. Okay, I have to Google this. Philippines time now. Oh, it's 1 a.m. I was right. Indonesia time now. 12 a.m. Okay, so Indonesia is 1 hour behind Philippines. Oh, 10:30 p.m. Okay, sorry, my bad. I was so confident about India too. Okay, thanks for correcting me. And thank you so much if you were here early or like at 1 a.m. or 12 a.m. I really appreciate it. But if you do need to go to sleep at any time, this will be recorded. The only thing you might want to stay for is I'm going to do some LinkedIn profile roasts at the end. So if you want, you can drop your LinkedIn in the chat and I will try to get to it if you're comfortable. Because what's going to happen is if you send your LinkedIn in the chat at the end or now if you need to go, I will be roasting your LinkedIn publicly. So if you don't want to get publicly roasted, don't share your LinkedIn. But I think this would be a useful exercise because you can get more people seeing your profile, but then you can also improve your profile. Okay, so feel free to drop your LinkedIn link in the chat if you have to go later and then you can catch up on the recording. But otherwise, at the end, there will be a time for me to roast your LinkedIn. Okay, let me share my screen with the presentation. Hopefully you guys are all excited because there's going to be so much important information shared. I have to get started right away. So we're entry level. We help you learn and get experience so that you can get hired. Hopefully you already know this about us, but these are all of our available courses. Please be respectful today and don't spam the chat with unrelated information. Let's try to keep this on topic and keep your mics muted just so you can hear me. I want to hear what level you're at in your learning journey. If you're a complete beginner, you've taken a few courses or landed an internship and working in tech. So this is for me to better tailor this workshop for your needs, because this can be helpful for anybody in these levels. Okay, I also see a LinkedIn link in the chat. I will save that for the LinkedIn profile roast at the end. Again, if you have to leave before that, no worries. Just catch up on the recording. I'll email it to you. Okay, somebody just finished first year at college. Oh, that's amazing. Congrats. The rest of your years will be super great. That's super exciting. Okay, someone's level 3, landed an internship. Congratulations. I think I saw your LinkedIn post on that. Okay, level 4, level 2. Okay, perfect. Also, if you can't hear anything, maybe try rejoining. As I realize I'm speaking it, they probably can't hear me. Try this. Okay. It looks like we have a good mix of levels here. So I'm gonna move on. A little bit about us. We want to reskill 1 billion people by 2030. And by being here, you're helping us with that mission. And these are some of our available courses. Hopefully you've taken some, but if not, you can find them on our website, which I will link in the chat here. Okay, so this is what our courses look like. You can see these are things people are sharing on LinkedIn. The certificate, okay, this was on Twitter, but they're sharing it online. The certificate, the portfolio project, and the Discord. This is where you can get feedback, but some people sometimes post their LinkedIn stuff on Discord, and then more people visit that link from Discord and engage with their LinkedIn post. Okay, so that is the intro for entry level. I'm gonna start the slides right now. And oh my gosh, I'm so excited to show you guys because there's just so much value here. Getting a job using personal branding on LinkedIn. All right, these are some examples of messages I personally have gotten, even though I already have a job, but like I share all of my work. And it's like, how do I get you to work with my team? Saw your post. How do I get you to work with my team again? I would love to chat with you. I'm working on something. I would love to get you involved. So all of this is like stuff that people are messaging me because I posted on my social media profile and they saw it and then they thought of me and they wanted to hire me because my posts are kind of like proof that I can do the work, and then it got them interested. This is another example of somebody else. They secured a volunteer role and that ended up getting them a product manager role as an intern, and they loved it. And this is the story of Marina. She posted every single day for 100 days on LinkedIn because it was some challenge that she was doing, and that eventually landed her job that she really liked. Now I'm curious, before I go further, what is your ultimate goal with attending this workshop or posting more on LinkedIn? Like, is it to get a job? Is it to get a promotion? Get a salary bump, or anything else? Just let me know in the chat. Ooh, someone says starting a personal brand. Right, you were still in school. I think it's super great to start a personal brand early. So I'm happy you're here. To get a remote job, to get a job. Okay. I'll show you how to post so you can like attract people and get that remote job. Because there's actually an entry-level student who did this, and I'll show you more about his story later. Okay, someone said promotion and salary bump. Perfect. Again, if you have any questions, or sorry, if you want to know if this will be recorded, it is being recorded on our YouTube, and I will email the link later. So if you miss anything or if you have to go to sleep, it's totally okay. The recording will be sent to you right after this event. Okay, so someone's asking, how do we post content if you don't have much skills as a coder? I will get to that. A lot of people want to get remote jobs and scholarships and just share what I know, share what they know. Conversion to better opportunities in the future, change careers, get a job. Okay, it looks like a lot of people want to change careers. I did see one person saying portfolio is really confusing. So what I can do is send you this event link for something happening next week, all about how you can get hired with portfolio projects. So I just sent the link in the chat, on the YouTube chat and in the Zoom chat. So make sure you go to that event if you want to learn more about portfolio. But this workshop today is mainly going to be about posting online. Okay, let's move on. Why should you start? So we talked to a lot of hiring managers. They all said applicants suck at communicating via text and calls. This is like applicants everywhere, not just people remotely and not just entry level. So that was really interesting because this soft skill is how you can stand out. So these are my outcomes for you. Not today, but like this is just like a small 1 hour workshop, but these are the outcomes for a future course I might make all about content creation. So if you would like to get on the waitlist for that course, I'm sending the link in the YouTube chat and in the Zoom chat right now. Make sure you put your email there so you can get notified when the course is out. So the outcomes are like, you want to have companies reach out to you asking to hire you. This actually happened to one of our students. Be the first person people think of when they're trying to refer to jobs, because you're constantly posting about the topic of your niche, and building a strong social media presence using systems so that you can scale sustainably and post sustainably, because not everybody is able to post every day. So if you schedule your posts, it can look like you're posting every day when you're just writing them all in one day and then scheduling them for later. And then improving your written and verbal communication, because this is what a lot of hiring managers said that applicants suck at. So you can improve and stand out. Okay, here is how you can start. First, what do you want to be known for? If you already know, put it in the chat and let me know. But if you're not sure yet, I really suggest figuring out what it is that you want to work in and be known for. It took me a while to figure it out. First, I wanted to be known for design, and now I want to be known for marketing because that's my role. So you can always pivot your content, but start somewhere and start posting about that. I see somebody here talk about virtual assistant, someone who wants to be known for usability testing, and digital marketing. So that's great. Make sure you really know what it is that you want to post about. And if you don't know, you can ask ChatGPT and be like, ask me some questions to help me further understand what I want to make posts about to get a job. Okay. So not all of your posts need to be about this. So this is an example of that student who got an internship with a product manager role that she really liked, and she posted 100 days in a row on LinkedIn. She wasn't posting about product management. That was the role she landed. She tried posting about product management all the time, but on this day, she posted about her, like how she was managing her tasks. It could be her tasks related to project management or something else, but as long as you're posting every day, then it's helping you get seen by more people, which increases your chances of getting hired or getting referrals. Again, she was posting more about her process and her learning. So this is her certificate with entry level after she took a course with us. But she didn't just post the certificates because this was just day 52. She had to post all the days after and she had to post all the days before. So what she did was post all about what she was learning and not just the final product, which is a certificate and portfolio. So it's important to post as you're learning as well. This is what I posted. Again, it is my final portfolio, but this is like a reminder to post everything, whether it's your entry-level portfolio or the process you took to get there, what you're working on this week, what YouTube videos you're watching, because it can be very helpful for other people who are also learning, but also for hiring managers to see that you're constantly learning and improving yourself and the insights that you're learning. Because people want to hear your thought process and how you think about problems, how you approach problems. And if you are able to show that process, then it's really good. And if you're even able to communicate that process through posting on social media, then it's even better. I did see a question here about what social media platform is the best to start with. I would say whatever is most easy and consistent for you, because if we want to get into content creation, I have a bunch of slides on this. I primarily post on Twitter and Instagram, which is short form text and short form video. But for you, I think to get started, it might be easiest just to focus on text only, because making a video might take a lot of time. So I would say focus on what you can easily stay consistent in and what you enjoy. So it might be short Twitter posts or LinkedIn posts. If you're looking to get hired, LinkedIn posts might be your best bet, but I've also seen a lot of people on Twitter post, hey, does anyone do this? I'm looking to hire. And then they only post on Twitter and nothing else. So I recommend Twitter or LinkedIn. Okay, so here are some mistakes that you need to avoid when posting content. I'm going to focus more on LinkedIn here because this is where most people post, but this can be applied to any social media platform. So number one is not being consistent. I see a lot of people post on LinkedIn saying that I just finished my course or I just got my certificate and like I'm happy to announce this. And then they stop posting after that. And it's like, think from the perspective of a hiring manager or like from a personal branding perspective. Like if you just post, I did this, and it's like, okay, that's great. A lot of people can get certificates and portfolios. What I'm actually curious about is your journey to get there. Like what insights you learned, what changed, what improved. So instead of posting like, I got a data analyst certificate, try posting like, this is the data set I worked with. I struggled so hard at this part, but this is how I solved that problem. And this is how I approached the problem. A lot of hiring managers, they interview you because they want to know how you think. So if you can show that on your social media, they might be more curious to learn more about you, especially if you're able to effectively communicate that via text on social media. Because remember, a lot of hiring managers say that people suck at communicating via text and video calls. So if you're able to, like, especially if you're working remotely, you have to communicate via Slack a lot. And it's very obvious that some people don't have experience because their Slack communication is not the best. And I actually have a newsletter article about this, about workplace communication. So let me actually share that screen right now, my work communication. Okay, here it is. I have to reshare my screen because I think this is relevant and I forgot to put this in the slides. This is from our tech newsletter called Level Up, which I will link soon. So first, entry-level CEO actually roasted our team's communication. He said, like, you guys, I don't understand half of your updates. Like, what are you even texting me right now on Slack? He was really nice about it, but the point is, he's like, I don't understand what you're saying. Like, you need to get better at communicating. And this is like people who are experienced already. So if you can, show that you're better than us already at communicating on Slack, then you will for sure stand out in the workplace. And this is especially important if you're applying for jobs, if you can show that somehow in the job search process, like following up via email, sending thank you notes, which is a thing that many people don't do, sending thank you notes after an interview. If you do that, you'll for sure stand out. So back to my CEO roasting us. He's like, this is how you interact with the team. Like he cannot live with our confusing Slack updates anymore. And he taught us basically how to communicate. So usually in school, you're taught like your paper must be 10 pages. But in the workplace, time is money. So people don't want to read 10 pages of updates. They don't have time for that. It's confusing and they have to like sit down and read it. It's better if you can give concise updates, communicating the most important parts. And then if they want to read more, they can. So I started implementing this, and then the CEO was like, "Oh my gosh, you did amazing! Like you implemented the feedback so quickly." And here's exactly what I did. So you have to categorize your communication into different buckets. One is FYI, so like if you don't need them to take any action and you just want them to be aware, because in a remote workplace, it's better to over communicate. Just tell them, "Hey, I'm doing this." Just letting you know. Okay, somebody requested to record, but just so you know, this is going to be on YouTube, so I will be emailing the recording link to everyone right after this. But anyway, FYI, I'm doing this, just letting you know. This is just to tell people to keep them in the loop with what you're doing. Otherwise, they might be like, hey, what's this person doing? So you want to over communicate. And then approval, if you're looking for approval from a manager, you need to be like very clear about it. Say, do you approve of this? Like, can I go ahead and do this? Decision is if you need somebody to help you make a decision, like, can you help me choose between A, B, and C? It can be even more helpful if you go beyond that and be like, my recommendation is B because of these reasons, but I'm keen to hear your thoughts. And then you can ask a specific question because sometimes open-ended is too much brain work for other people. So you can be like, this is a consideration I had for option A and C. What do you think about this specific aspect of it? Same with the approval. It's like you can say, I'm doing this because of these reasons, and then point form 1, 2, 3. And then do you approve of this? And then that way people can get a snapshot of what you're thinking immediately. They don't have to spend too much time on it. You can already make the decision for them on what you're doing, except all they have to do is just say yes. And it's very easy for them to say yes. That's why in code emails, when people send them, they're like, just reply yes and I'll send you more details. And then all you have to do is reply yes, because it's very easy to do that. So the last thing is closing the loop. Okay, I'm just trying to mute somebody here. Remember to keep yourselves muted so you can hear me. Okay, anyway, the last thing is closing the loop. So remember that thing that I was doing, this is what happened. So remember to communicate not just what you're going to do, but what you have done. So here's an example message that I wrote. So I wrote, I'm doing an update on our landing page on our website. This variant is doing amazing. And then 3-point forms about the results and the key takeaways people have. And then I also have documentation and I have screenshots and I tagged people for FYI because they don't have to do anything. It's just so they know. So again, key takeaways are mentioned first in point form, so it's very easy to read. I tagged the relevant stakeholders as an FYI. I linked more context if people wanted to learn more about it, and I screenshotted everything. So let's say somebody is checking this update on their phone and they're like on a walk or something. They can see what's going on right away with the screenshots instead of having to click onto the documentation. So I try to make it very easy for people to understand my updates, and that's why I'm always getting like kudos from people, from my coworkers in the chat, because they're like, Jen, you're so good at doing cool stuff. And that's because I properly communicate the stuff that I'm doing. So if you can't do this in the workplace, you might start to feel underappreciated. You might feel like people aren't listening to you or your ideas, but that's mainly because you're not communicating your updates or ideas properly. So that's just like a workplace tip for you. I will send you this article in the chat, but I will also be sure to email it to you because it's so important to practice the skill. A lot of beginners don't think it's important to practice soft skills like this, but it really is. It's not just about hard skills because soft skills are how you can stand out. And if you don't have a job right now and you want to practice these skills, you can do code outreach for your career and treat that as communication, find a work-like environment, or just get feedback from friends and family. Okay, so that's my little thing about communication. Let me go back to the regular slides now. Hopefully that was helpful. So my regular slides. I have so many windows open right now. Here you go. Where was I? Okay, mistakes to avoid, not being consistent. The other thing is you can be consistent by having other people hold you accountable. So this is the networking chat in our Discord, and I will send the link to join our Discord in a little bit, but this was somebody who wrote that they posted something on LinkedIn, and since they put it in this channel, every one of our students will now see it, and then they can be sure to like it and share it and comment, etc. So this is the link to our Discord. You can find it in the chat and in the YouTube chat as well if you're watching on YouTube. And yeah, make sure to join that because there's a lot of community support that happens there. And it can help you stay consistent because like the most important thing is stay consistent in your posting because if you keep posting, you will eventually get better at it. I see a lot of people start posting on LinkedIn and it's just like big paragraph, big paragraph big paragraph. It's very hard to read. But then as they keep posting, they realize, okay, maybe I need to break this up. So now it's like one sentence and then a paragraph break and then another sentence. And then they're like, okay, this still isn't getting enough likes. And since you're spending all this time posting on LinkedIn, you're seeing other people's posts. And then maybe you like copy kind of what they do. And you're like, okay, instead of all of the paragraph breaks, I need to focus on the hook. So then you can change your hook to something that makes people want to read more. And they just keep improving like that. But all of that comes from consistency. The other mistake is a lot of people post their projects and not their process. And this is something that I mentioned before, where you have to really think about what, you're posting, your thought process, and how you can communicate that via text. It's not just your achievements and your awards and stuff, it's what you're working on. So I can share my LinkedIn profile actually. Okay, hopefully you see my screen, but some of these, like you can see my entry-level project is like all the way, it's not even the top featured one, it's all the way down here. But the other stuff is kind of my process. So I'm like, okay, I've been growing my newsletter, this is what it's at right now. Or like I did a presentation, this is how I did it. I had this cool achievement, this is a screenshot of that. And then like all the cool stuff I was doing. So this is me posting the process, but then also kind of bragging a little bit. And I think people really like that. So make sure to post about your thought process because hiring managers want to see that. I don't always post that as well. Sometimes I post questions and hot takes. So there was a hot take that did very well because a lot of people started commenting. I think it was about who to hire. Okay, where is it? Here. You can be a hard worker and still be a bad employee. I'd rather hire someone who works 2 to 3 hours a day on high return on investment tasks than someone who works 12-hour days on the wrong things. And it got so many, well, not so many, but it sparked a lot of conversation. And I think it got a lot of eyes on my profile because, I feel like it's kind of a contrarian take. So you can post random things like this, sharing your thoughts on things instead of just posting the projects that you've done. Okay, so that's an example from mine. If you want my LinkedIn link, I will send it, but I don't accept connection requests unless you leave a note. So I'll put it here in the chat and in the YouTube chat. Okay, the other mistake that people make. Oh, okay, sorry. Let me go back to the example of posting projects and not posting process and not projects, because the mistake people make is posting projects only and not yet their thought process. So you want to post your thought process. This is an example. Again, this is the entry-level student who posted once a day every 100 days. And she's like, today I watched YouTube videos. And this was a video that she watched. So I loved this because it's like your posts don't have to be super complex. Like she's probably like, oh, I already watched this YouTube video, might as well share it with people. So this is like as simple as it can get. It doesn't have to be intimidating or scary. You can start posting content right away. And then this is the post that she picked on she posted, I think this was day 95 or something. And this is like what she learned from the YouTube video. So she's like, here are my key takeaways. And this is super helpful because it helps teach other people, but then it helps hiring managers see what she is noticing and learning. Because her key takeaways might be different from mine from watching the video. So and you can see she also breaks it down very easily. Like this is easy to read because she splits up the paragraphs and she's like putting bullet points with the key points. So it's very scannable. If you didn't read any of her paragraphs, you can just see exactly how she breaks it down. And that is showing that she has good communication skills, like especially written communication skills. And the fact that she can juggle posting once a day, for 100 days, and her job search, it just shows people that she can work on multiple things, but that she is also dependable and consistent. So by posting online, she's like already showing so much, and that is eventually how she got hired. Okay, the other thing is a lot of people don't share value, like what problem you're solving. So you need to think about the target audience for your posts. Maybe it's potential hiring managers or people you want to mentor because you want to share your knowledge. What problem are you solving for them? So a lot of people, they post stuff like, hey, this is what I did, or this is, you know, how, like, I want a job, please hire me. This is all the skills I bring to the table. But you need to consider what other people get from reading your posts. So even if my posts are more like, here are my thoughts, or like, this is my process, people are still getting value from it because they're learning how I do it so then they can do the same thing. Or they're learning my point of view so that they can jump in on the conversation if they have different points of view. And it's just like they're getting something from it because they're learning something new about how I think that kind of improves their lives somehow or helps them learn. So here's an example of a student who was a complete beginner. I actually interviewed her. You can listen to her interview. It's very inspiring. But you can see she has almost 30K Twitter followers. And this is because she was sharing everything she was learning. She was a complete beginner before. She's like, why am I sharing stuff? I feel like a beginner. I feel like I'm not allowed to share because, I'm still a beginner. But she was sharing all the resources she used to learn. So all these other beginners who are confused about where to learn, they just followed her and they're like, okay, she uses these resources, let me use the same things. So even if Alexa was a beginner, she was able to grow really quickly and eventually landed a job because she shared all of these, even if she was a beginner. So again, this is like sharing her process and not just the end result. She does share a little bit of her work too, but most of it is saying like, this is how I learned, and here's my process, here's how you can learn too. And that's the value she brings to her audience. I did interview her, so I'll send you all of these slides later, but her story is very inspiring, especially if you are interested in data analysis. Okay, the other thing, not testing hooks. So remember how I said sometimes as you post, you start learning more about what works. One of them is hooks. So let's say you post something you think is great, but then the first line is super boring. Nobody's gonna keep reading or keep watching the video if you're not testing that very first line, because that's what gets people hooked. That's what makes them want to keep reading. So if you're not testing that and figuring out what works the best, then the rest of your amazing post might not even be seen. So with hooks, what I find usually works best is like very outlandish claims. Like you don't have to lie or anything, but stuff like, I did this in this time. Like this is one of my posts. I grew to 10K newsletter subscribers, and that was the truth. And I had a screenshot here as well, and that posted very well. Another example is like negative hooks, like here's what you shouldn't do, or here's a mistake to avoid. Now people are like, oh my gosh, I need to know what it is. Maybe I'm making the mistake. I want to know what to avoid. So then they keep reading. Here's an example from somebody. You can see this got so many likes and comments, and this is the hook. So Africa has $7 billion companies. This guy started two of them by the age of 30. And now you're wondering, who is this guy? Like, what are the two companies? How did he do this by 30? So you want to click to read more about this post. And that's an example of a good hook. Oh, and I actually also have a video about testing hooks, but that's mainly for short form video. And it's on my personal YouTube channel, so I can link that if you're curious, but I don't feel like it's that relevant because it's more about making your own videos and not text hooks. But let me know if you do want to see it and I'll dig up the link for you. Okay. The other mistake is not proactively reaching out. So you can't just post. You have to like remember your goal. If your goal is to get hired, you can post, but then you also want to reach out to people in your field. And that kind of gets them to look at your profile and see all your posts about it. And then you have a better chance of getting referrals or getting a job. Okay, so it looks like people do want to see the hook video. So let me link it really quick in the chat. Again, this is mainly for my personal channel and for short form video, but yeah. Okay, wait, somebody also asked, how long or how many words is a perfect LinkedIn post? Don't want people to lose interest to read. This is, again, kind of related to what I was saying about testing. You can test the hook, but you can also test the posts that you make. So some of your posts can be very long, but you just have to break it up so it's scannable. Maybe use bullet points, use just like one sentence, and then you add a paragraph break. I feel like it really doesn't matter how long your post is, as long as people can find value in it. So it can be super long or it can be super short. I like to do a mix of either. So some days I'll post short ones and some days I'll post long ones. You can even convert the long ones into short ones and convert the short ones that did well into long ones. So that's what I mean when I say consistency, because the more you're consistent with it, you can test all these different things and get more data on what works. So I feel like focusing on the length is not really important. It's more focusing on the content and the value you give to people and the problem you're solving for them. Like, for example, a lot of people are like, the attention span is so short nowadays. Like, I only want to watch a 7-second TikTok or Instagram reel. Yeah, that might be true, but I've seen like 2-minute ads before and wanted to watch the entire thing. Same with like movies and TV shows. Those things are like an hour or like 20 minutes, way longer than 7-second video. And I'm able to sit through all of that because I find the content valuable. I find it engaging and entertaining. One example is like if somebody's just talking news style on a short form video and they're like, this is what happened today. This is what you can expect. I'm bored. I'm gonna skip through it. But if somebody's saying like I saw a video ad once and it made me watch the entire 2 minutes, which is like impossible for an ad, right? But the video ad was like, I achieved this result. So that was the hook. And then they also were very like they moved around a lot. So I was like, okay, immediately I have to stop scrolling. And they also said, this is a story of how I achieved this. And it's a story involving Ryan Reynolds and a rotten watermelon. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to know like how these two are related to even the goal. Like, how did this happen? So I kept watching, and the video was like 2 minutes, and it had like scene cuts, and it like there's so much that they did well. And that's what I mean when I say like the length doesn't really matter as long as you can make sure it's engaging and valuable. And you can also like just test the length after. So if you make a long post and nobody likes it and you're like, I feel like there's a lot of value here, you can turn it into a short one. It's very easy to change your post length, but it's less easy to find something of value that people will actually want to read. And that solves a problem for people. So that's why I would focus more on the value you're bringing to people and what problem you're solving for them. Okay. The other thing, not proactively reaching out. So if you're on LinkedIn and you're not proactively reaching out to people and messaging people, that is a mistake. And I think one of the attendees of this event actually did this, and it was amazing. So what happened was he reached out to me and he's like, can you feature my entry-level portfolio on your website? And usually we have to go through a bunch of portfolios to find the best one. But because he proactively reached out to me and asked, I was like, oh, wait, his portfolio is actually really good. Let me feature it on the website. So he like kind of skipped that entire line of all these other people's portfolios and stood out that way. And that was what happens when you proactively reach out for people and just ask, because you never know what people might say yes to. And now his portfolio is going to be on our website. Here's another example of somebody who proactively reached out. This is Christiana. She was actually a new mother, so she was very busy, but she still made the time to reach out to at least like one person on LinkedIn every single day. And she went to one of our LinkedIn workshops. I will link that workshop in the chat, but after she went to the workshop and she applied the tips to improve her LinkedIn, she told me in this interview, in this call, that she actually had 2 people reach out to her wanting to get her to work for them. But then she's like, sorry, I already got a job, because she reached out to other people and they got her referrals. So I would highly recommend listening to her interview, which I will link in the chat, but I will link the LinkedIn thing here. Okay, so if you're wanting to think about the message to get people to respond, Christiana has a template. Let me find it for you right now. And here, let me share my screen with that interview. Here it is. So this is the interview. You can read the transcript here if you don't want to watch the full video, but I highly recommend listening to it at least while you're doing chores or something. So let me link this in the chat, but I'll also email it to you. Basically, say like, hi, this is me. I love your content. Like, try and make it about them and flatter them a little bit and say like, this is something that you did that was really cool, that I liked, that made me want to reach out to you personally, because people like to feel special. And then you can talk about yourself, like, I transferred into this, and I would love to connect and learn more from you. And then let's say they accept the connection. After that, you cannot just say, please, can we have a coffee chat? Because people's time are valuable, and you need to show that you respect that. If you just ask for a coffee chat or like a general question that you can get from Google, people are not going to respond, because first, it's a lot of work to respond to a question like that. Well, not always, I try to be helpful, but like I will not really respond to people who are very vague like that, because it's like, you can just Google that. It doesn't show like good things, because I get that people might feel lost, but if you're asking this to someone and you're asking for their time and you respect their time, like you want to make it easy for them to help you, right? So what I would ask instead is say something like a very specific question, like, is it okay if I ask you a question about how you got into this field? And it's something specific that I would love to get your experience and opinion on. And then if they say yes, it's very easy for them to just say yes to that. So all they have to do is type yes on their phone. Then you can go ahead with a very specific question that you don't think you can get from Google or ChatGPT. And then it can go from there. And if they seem very engaged, then you can ask for a coffee chat and just again say you really appreciate that. And after the coffee chat, remember to send a follow-up thank you message to them. The other thing is sometimes people get busy and don't respond. So what you need to do is you have to respond. You have to follow up. Following up is so underrated. Sometimes I have to follow up like 3 times to get people to respond, and they often appreciate it. And especially if you're respectful about it, you can say like, hey, just following up on my last message. If you're too busy and can't make time for this right now, it's totally okay. I understand. I will continue like learning from the posts that you're making, and that's fine. Just follow up a few times, because sometimes people genuinely are just busy and they forget about it. So make sure you follow up. If people are really not responding, you can say like, this is going to be the last message I send. Like, I just want to be respectful of your time. It's okay if you don't have time to answer my questions. Like, I wish you the best, and that's fine. Just make sure to follow up, because it really shows your communication skills, and it shows that you're respectful of their time, and it can just like have a positive impact on you, because sometimes you follow up and people are like, sorry, I totally forgot, but like, yes, I could totally refer you to this job. So like, you don't want to lose a job opportunity just because you don't follow up, right? So make sure you follow up. Let me go back to the slides, and I do see a few questions in the chat, and let me just quickly answer them. So someone's saying like, how can I get the recording? It will be emailed to you, but it is also going to be on YouTube. So let me send you the YouTube link. I'm live streaming right now. And someone's saying, Jennifer, I sent you a connection request, but forgot to add a message. Okay, I will try to find your name on my LinkedIn connection. I will make sure to save it. Okay, let's move on. Oh, here it is. I had the template right here. But like make sure to keep in mind everything I said. You can go back to the recording and take notes on what I said. Okay, an activity. What is one thing that you can post today after this workshop? I want to hear about you. It could be something you learned at this workshop. Remember to take entry level on LinkedIn. Or it can just be something you learned even before this workshop or after this workshop. I want to challenge you to post at least one thing on LinkedIn and let this be the start of your streak and start posting more consistently after. It can be like you post once a week on Friday or Saturday, or you can post every single day. Up to you what's most consistent for you to keep up. But let me know in the chat, what is one thing you can post about today? You don't have to make the whole post, just tell me what the topic will be and your key takeaways. So for example, today I learned today I learned the importance of following up. So for the hook, I would put something like, I almost lost a job connection because of this. And then you can go into following up. Again, share that only if you feel like that's true. But I think a post like that could do very well. Okay, so somebody says Jennifer taught me to be more productive on LinkedIn, etc. Okay, so some of these posts, I think they're great and you can post them on LinkedIn for sure. And I encourage you to do so because you're only going to get better. But a lot of the posts, I think I'm going to share how I can improve it. So, okay. A lot of people are linking their comments in the chat, but let me take one example and share how I would improve it. So somebody wrote, Jennifer taught me how to be more productive on LinkedIn and shape up my career. Would you be interested in enhancing your career through LinkedIn? Okay, so remember, like what value is this giving to users or people who are reading it? What problem are you solving for them? So first, I would rephrase it to let's say what is your key takeaway from the workshop? Because people aren't even going to get anything from more productive. Like, what does that mean? What are your key takeaways? What did you learn that other people could learn as well? So I think maybe pick something specific. So, oh, I just got a message. Okay, today I learned that the process implemented towards the project is more valuable than posting the project alone on LinkedIn. Okay, that is valuable specific content that would bring value to users. So what you can do with that, how I would improve a post like that. First of all, it's great, you should post it. But how I would improve it is start with a hook. Be like, you're making a mistake if you only post your projects on LinkedIn. And then people are like, oh my God, I do that. Like, what am I doing wrong? And then they click to read more. And then you can dive into like, here is why you should post more about your process and not just the project. And then 3 bullet points that make it very easy to scan and read about why that's important. And then after that, you can end with a call to action, be like, comment what process you have, or some other call to action just to get people to comment on your post, which boosts your post even more to other people. Okay, I see somebody wrote down like amazing notes. Thank you so much for taking such detailed notes. I will make sure to share these slides with you via email as well as the YouTube recording. Okay, I think that's all. Again, there is a LinkedIn event that Entry Level has hosted, and I'll email this to you, but I also shared it in the chat earlier. I would highly recommend watching that if you want to optimize your LinkedIn profile specifically, because I'm covering what to post, and this my coworker here is covering how to optimize your profile. So like your headline, your LinkedIn URL, things like that. Okay, one more thing before I start on the LinkedIn roasts. So the course, there is a waitlist. I'm going to make a more in-depth course about content creation, if I get enough emails in the waitlist. So I will be sharing the waitlist link. If I get at least 100 emails, then maybe I'll start making this course. So if you really want this course, make sure to share it with your friends and get their emails on here, because otherwise I'm not making the course. Here is the outline of the course. Stop posting, just hire me. You need to fix your content. And then the outcomes I shared earlier, and here are the modules. So this is what I'll be covering. Make sure to sign up for the waitlist. All you need to do is put your email down, share that waitlist link with all of your friends, because I'm not making this course until I get at least 100 people on the waitlist to really show demand, because I don't want to make a course and then have nobody pay for it, right? Okay, so I will send you the link for the LinkedIn optimization event because I see somebody has asked for it. But just so you know, I will be emailing all of these links to you. So don't worry if you miss anything. So here's the link again in the chat. I will email it to you, so don't worry. Okay, let's go back to the slides. Again, if you want to stand out more in your job search, I do have another event coming up next Saturday, and it's all about how you can get hired with portfolio projects. So I'll talk about best practices and how you can make a portfolio website. I'm putting the event registration link in the chat right now, so make sure to register for that. Okay, that's all for these slides. So now I'm going to jump into the LinkedIn roast. I saw a few in the chat earlier, so I'm going to go with, okay, the first link that was shared. Hopefully it's okay I share this because I think I mentioned earlier this will be public on our YouTube channel. So let me see. This is, first of all, very good URL. Hopefully you guys can see my screen. Okay, yeah. Very good URL. You can see this is the name. Because sometimes I see LinkedIn URLs and it's like a bunch of random letters. So I think the LinkedIn workshop link I shared earlier, you can edit, it shows you how to edit your URL. Okay, here I see software engineer, IT specialist, sales executive. This one I'm a little bit confused because it seems like multiple different niches. So I'm like, okay, are you in engineering or are you in sales? It's a little bit confusing for me. Okay, here. I feel like this doesn't really sell you properly. Usually the description talks about how great you are, your accomplishments, a little bit about your personality. Again, this is covered in the LinkedIn workshop, so make sure to watch that. But here it just lists your work history, but your work history is already listed down here and in your resume. Like this doesn't bring me any extra value. So I would highly suggest changing the about section. The LinkedIn for your job search workshop that I linked in the chat earlier will teach you how to do that. Okay, the featured one, it looks really cool. I can see you have done a lot of good work here. But I feel like maybe some of your posts could be better. But that's gonna be like, I think after you make more posts, then you can feature the best performing ones. Okay, so it looks like all of this is posted 1 month ago, so it's a little bit old. But I just did a whole workshop on posts, so maybe I won't go through that right now. Okay, here. You really should list your accomplishments in the descriptions because right now this doesn't tell me too much. Like you should list the accomplishments that you've had. Again, this is kind of related to resume statements because on your resume, you can't just put your responsibilities. A lot of people, like let's say if you're an engineer, you're like, okay, I coded this. That's your responsibility. It's not your accomplishment. You have to put numbers, be like, I increased revenue by this percentage, if you have those numbers, by doing this. And it's like people care about how you make the money or how you save them time. So if you're in customer support or if you're a virtual assistant, you can be like saved this much time and gotten like this percentage of highest customer satisfaction score by doing this or by doing that. You need to put numbers on there. Somebody told me once they started putting numbers on their resume, they started getting more interviews. And again, remember in your resume, people scan that. So they usually scan in an F pattern, resume F pattern. Okay, let me Google this so I can show you what it looks like. So this is how they scan it. So you want to, yeah, here's a heat map. So you want to make sure that the most important numbers that you want people to see is like at that very beginning and it kind of follows where the arrows are. So that's why I said the very first sentence on your, not on your resume, but the very first bullet point should be something like increase revenue by X percentage by doing something else. Because you want them to see you increase the revenue, which is what they care about. So you have that in the very beginning, because when they're scanning, that's what they're going to see. And then that'll be what's going to hook them to keep watching. Okay, so I think that's all for this profile. I'm going to grab a few random ones here from the chat. Okay, Rita, hello, I see you're still here. Okay, wow, there's a lot going on here. I love your profile picture, but one thing is I would recommend you change your LinkedIn profile URL, because right now it's just like a bunch of numbers, which it doesn't look great, but then it also makes it harder for you to like tell people or like link it somewhere else, like on your portfolios. Okay, wait, let me pause. Somebody's asking, how do we figure out the numbers for your resume for accomplishments? If you don't have those specific numbers, start with what you can measure. So if you're working customer success and you have like the satisfaction score, try that. But if you really struggle to find the numbers, try asking some of your team members and just being like, hey, is it okay if you share this with me? I'm trying to update my resume or something. And this is kind of why I always advocate for doing your own projects, because then you have complete control over all areas of the business, and you can see all of the numbers. So if you start an Instagram account, you can see exactly what percentage you grew by in terms of followers and engagement rate. So those are some tips for your resume bullet points and LinkedIn bullet points. But let me go back to this. So it looks like, Rita, you are specializing in virtual assistant services. But here it's kind of, it looks like you're doing really cool things, but it is kind of all over the place. Right now, I don't know if you're a virtual assistant or if you're like a social media manager or marketer or like a community builder. If you're trying to get hired for virtual assistant stuff and trying to get known for that only, I would suggest focusing it on virtual assistant. Because right now I'm like, oh, I don't know if I should hire you for one or like some of the other stuff. Okay, I love this about section so far. It's very focused on virtual assistant stuff. Yeah, I feel like all of the social media marketing stuff, unless you're trying to get hired for that specifically, it can be kept over here. So I feel like some of the random capitalization can be fixed, but everything else looks pretty good. Okay. So yeah, I would just suggest maybe running it through ChatGPT or Grammarly for fixing some of the random capitalization, and then adding a space between like the colon and the word. Okay, I like the description here. And I like the featured posts, but I think there could be more. I was kind of expecting arrows here. So maybe as you post more content, you'll have more featured posts. You seem pretty active. I love the hook here. Here are the things you need to stop doing if you want to succeed. Because I'm like, okay, now I want to read more. So just keep posting stuff like that. Okay, here. I feel like this is where most people struggle, because it's like you did this, but then what would be really helpful is if you listed specific bullet points about what you've done. The rest, I don't know if people scroll back that far, but like the bullet points would be super helpful. Like would it be helpful if I shared my resume, for example, bullet points? Let me know in the chat. I'm gonna try and dig it up. Okay, somebody said yes, that's all I need. Let me share a new screen. And here. This is my resume with only 1 year of experience versus like 5+ years. So this is the 1 year. There's so much going on here. So like I have marketing communications, I have leadership, writing, event planning, there's just too much. And then you can see there's nothing about numbers here. I'm like, oh, I did a marketing timeline and content calendar, but that's my responsibility. That's not my accomplishment. It's like I was expected to do this anyway, and there's no numbers at all. But this is my resume now, 1 page, and I have way more work experience. So I'm like, okay, clear numbers. I accomplished this. So if you want to hire me, if you want to accomplish the same thing for your business, and then here, increase this, like all of it is numbers. Like I grew this, I grew that. Some of these are estimations, but I try to think about how many signups we had before and how many signups we had after, and I just put them in like a percentage increase calculator. And then I listed some keywords. So another thing for your resume is you might want to look at the keywords in the job description and make sure you put that in your resume, just so that if they're using like AI or something to scrape your resume, make sure that your resume will be on the accepted pile. But I did try to use a lot of keywords in mind. Like I wrote some tools here that people look for. And yeah, that's just an example. But you can see even here, like these two were things that I started, and that's why I have all the numbers. This one, I already have the numbers because I asked people or I have access to the analytics tools. So it might be a little hard if you don't have the numbers, but you can do your best with estimating, or you can just try and get experience, more experience where you have the numbers, like starting your own projects. Okay, I might not have time to do more LinkedIn roasts, but if you really want me to roast your LinkedIn profile, maybe just send me an email, and I will, if I get enough emails, I will maybe host another one of these events where I only do LinkedIn roasts. Or just like send me a LinkedIn message if I accept your LinkedIn request, and then I can just click into it right away. Because we are reaching the end of our event now. Again, a reminder, if you found this event valuable and you want to sign up for an entry-level full-on course diving into more details, make sure to do so using that waitlist, because I'm only making the course once I have enough signups on the waitlist. And I want to share a little bit of a sneak peek for what the content you will find in the course, because I have my own personal brand. I run social media for my personal brand as well. Like this is all about how I grew my own social media account, and then this is all the content I'll cover. This is what I mean by testing hooks earlier, and how you can improve your short form video. Like there's so many strategies here about how to make money online with your own content creation, and like how much money I'm making, things like that. So make sure to put your email on that waitlist. Make sure to send that waitlist link to all your friends, because I'm only sharing this information if I get at least 100 people on that list. So yeah, thank you everybody for coming. Remember, I will be emailing the recording and all the resources to you afterwards. And remember to put your email on that